Hello and welcome to Patched. I'm your host Paul James, and today I'm joined by Matto Phillips. How are you, mate?
Yeah, super. Just me this week. We're back. We're back to normal. The
Doing what we do.
normal two.
It's yeah.
Unless Damo just magically appears out of nowhere and just goes, "Oh,
Well,
hey guys." Oh wait, do
I
we still
mean,
have that picture? I don't know.
yeah. Oh no, I don't have it. I don't have it in there at the moment, so I just flicked over to a screen that has no picture. Great, that worked a treat.
Wonderful.
Anyway, oh jeez, what else appeared
We
there?
didn't plan the
There's
Damo
no
part.
box around you. There's like everyone's really enjoying. If you're watching the video version right now, Matto's head is there, but there's no box around him. Doesn't have his name. He's not acknowledged at all. The
What?
space where Damo would normally be empty because I turned it off because I would have used it for a live watch along or something at some point, and so it's all just been disabled. Anyway, let's get back to the core layout and do this show properly. We're covering several news stories today because we couldn't really decide on one. And so we'll kind of roll. We won't outline what they all are first. We'll just surprise you as we go. But
Oh well, we won't surprise you. They. Let's be honest. They're probably in the title, or they might not be in the title. Ooh, who knows?
yeah, let's not put them in the title. They might be in the description. Don't read the description, everybody. It's too late. Stop.
Ignore the
Stop.
extra.
Don't
Don't read.
enjoy the show as it happens.
Just stick to your 3 words a day of reading, and then hello, welcome to patch. That's 4. Hang on.
Yeah,
Hello, welcome to. Yeah, so hello, welcome to, then just
there's a
continue
hello
on.
and. It's hello and welcome to Patched. But I say it so fast that no one ever knows that. Anyway, so we're going to begin by talking about Rockstar because the news came out this week that after the critical bombing that was the GTA 3, San Andreas, and Vice City remasters, that their plans to do the same for Grand Theft Auto 4 and Red Dead Redemption 1 have been scrapped so that they can focus all their resources on GTA 6 whenever that ultimately comes out. What do you make of that news?
I say, you sure did not just put all the resources back into GTA 5?
Well,
Because
they could be doing that too.
what do I think? Well, I'm sad. Just because Rockstar completely stuffed up their 3 Vice City and San Andreas thing.
Yeah,
You know what? Let's just scrap Red Dead, which I would have been, no matter what, I would have been in line from it just to get that game or download it, whatever. If it was Red Dead remastered, if it looked like Red Dead 2, oh yeah, I would most definitely buy it. And also, I would definitely buy GTA 4 remastered because let's be honest, it would look a lot better than what GTA 4 was. Maybe give it some more color and some better driving mechanisms.
yeah. There's probably an opportunity there. There's less for
I
them to get wrong as well because the game's already kind of in HD and like it's not 4K and maybe it wasn't even 1080. I don't know if it was just 720p or whatever back on the PS3 and 360. I'm not too sure.
This was back in 2008.
Yeah, it's a while
Long
ago.
time. It's a
So
while.
maybe it doesn't have that, but it's certainly in HD already, which is a good start. And obviously a lot of the functionality is far more modern than what the PS2 games and whatnot were. I think they can get away with a little bit more, but at the same time, yeah, Grove Street Games, who were the team that worked on the remasters, do you know much of the story as to how it ended up being as shit as it was?
No, all I
They
remember
did it
is
with
that.
AI. AI created the problem.
Oh,
They tried to get AI to do
oh,
all the work for them.
is that who they're blaming? Are they just handballed it off to something that's not even real?
Well, they handballed it off to another team who then tried to get AI to do the work, and that's why there's some particularly weird things in it, as well as the bugs and those sort of things, which may be shared between the AI and themselves. Yeah, there's some of those weird things that you just kind of see. That's all because of AI trying to read the old data and try and recreate the assets and all that sort of stuff. So, good work, Grove Street Games. You're probably never going to get a gig with Rockstar again.
And you call yourself Grove Street? That's insulting.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't leave you with a hell of a lot left to like. You kind of box yourself in a corner, a bit like 343
Rockstar.
and the
If I was
coalition.
Rockstar, I say if I was Rockstar, I'd say, hey, change that name. You're not gangster
You're not
enough.
getting a gig with us anymore, so you better go elsewhere. Yeah, I don't know. Which even in itself is weird that they're saying all hands on GTA 6 because they weren't working on those remasters in the first place. Like the last ones anyway. I guess maybe they were doing it GTA 4 and Red Dead themselves. I'm disappointed a bit like you because I would have loved a chance, especially for Red Dead, to get to replay that one. I guess, like if you own if you're an Xbox person, if you own them on Xbox back in the day, then you're not paying the price as much because backwards compatibility works properly and all those sorts of things. It allows you to do it. PlayStation doesn't really have that, and I don't know, even for countries where streaming is okay and you've got your PS, like you can play your PS3 backwards compatible titles through the PlayStation Plus subscription. I don't know if those games are actually a part of it yet or at all.
Oh no!
I'm not sure if GTA 4. I didn't bother to look at it because we didn't have it out here anyway. But yeah, I'm not sure if it's part of the PlayStation Plus Extra or Premium tier for the US and UK and other parts of the world where they've actually got the streaming stuff. So not too sure about that, but yeah, PlayStation people are kind of a bit screwed in that sense because of how ass backwards the PS3 was in a bunch of respects. So there's some of these games that are still kind of stranded there.
Yeah, that damn Blu-ray player just ruined everything.
Not that Blu-ray player, but anyway.
That damn Blu-ray player.
But we'll keep blaming it.
Sorry, not AI. We'll blame the AI for it.
We'll blame the AI. Yeah,
even though AI wasn't back. AI. Even though AI wasn't even around back then. AI was just a movie with some small kid in it. That's what AI was.
And people now hate it because of the problem that AI created for GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. Good work, AI. You stupid little kid.
Damn you, Grove Street.
Grove Street Games. Yeah, so I mean, look, I'm bummed because yes, there's the PlayStation fan in me that I can't even get them through backwards compatibility, but even then, like Red Dead, the original Red Dead is one of my favourite games, and I'd love to be able to play it kind of polished up and looking better.
Well, I'd love to see that ending
keep waiting.
In that enhanced graphics and 60 frames a second, that shootout at the end.
Like maybe they could even add the skip functionalities or the fast forwarding stuff, and we could just fast forward through Mexico and get back to the good shit again. But gonna have to keep waiting. I'm gonna have to bust out my PS3 to. Do I have a control handy? I do have a control handy because of course I've always got a PS3 handy.
I've got one too. I've got a PS4 controller, see?
And just slightly off camera for people, but if you watch a player 2 plays, you'd probably see it if I can drag it off camera enough without breaking something. There's even my PlayStation Vita TV here.
Vita TV?
Oh,
wow. Oh no, he's broken it.
No, I picked it up and there was a spider crawling over my hand afterwards. That upsets me. Bloody shed. So yeah, anyway, that's the GTA situation. Another piece of news that emerged over the course of the week is that E3 is coming back. Apparently, maybe.
We don't know.
They want to. They're going head to head with Summer Game Fest, the Jeff Keighley, the Jeff Keighley job, which they kind of did back in 2021. Yeah, I think it was 2021. I think everything just kind of fell apart in 2020. I can't even remember anymore. It's such a blur. I think they went head to head, but E3 was all digital.
Yeah, that was
Keighley
definitely
was all digital, and so Keighley just kind of claimed that E3 was part of all his Summer Game Fest stuff.
It is mine.
He just grabbed all the chips and said they're all mine. And
see this mine.
So I don't know how that's going to kind of fly when there's actually a physical, because they want to have a physical component and a digital component, which is probably the right way to go. Kind of have a bit of a blend of these things, which is what Keighley did. He still had media attending, or media and influencers attending a smallish spot. Like he wasn't getting, I mean, obviously we'll talk about it soon, but God of War, he wasn't getting God of War demos and those sorts of things for these for media outlets to then go and try out. They were mostly smaller scale indie things and whatnot. But you'd imagine E3 will probably get that. If Xbox kind of links themselves back in again and Ubisoft decides they want to show up and all those sorts of things, then maybe you get.
Say if you get Xbox in, then you got let's say you got Activision,
half the industry now.
You got Bethesda. You're already set if you get in with say Phil. Or maybe Xbox will just buy E3. You just don't know.
Nintendo might show up again because Nintendo would right up until it died. Nintendo was still attending. They'd have their E3 Direct, but then they'd still have a presence on the show floor. So maybe they'll be there.
Does Reggie will just rock up even though he doesn't work there anymore?
Ignore, yeah, because why not?
Because why not?
ignoring the fact that they're going head to head potentially with Jeff Keighley and whatever that kind of ultimately ends up being. Like, do you like the idea of E3 coming back?
I do.
Now,
I think
now that we've had a couple of years where things have been very different, like, how does this year stack up? Oh, sorry, does this new idea stack up?
I do. I would like to see E3 back because I know Matt, our chief player to
Illustrious leader.
he wrote something about missing E3, and I kind of agree with him. It just feels a bit empty without it. But I think it's also the fact too that it's more the crowd reactions too. That's the other thing too. You see a big trailer and everyone just goes, "Ooh!" When you're just sitting there watching it on YouTube, you just go, "Oh yeah, there's a game."
Well, I wouldn't rule out that like what it kind of looks like, especially if they're talking about this kind of hybrid sort of thing, is that like you still have the digital direct style showcases, and then you have just the show floor. Like we don't need a theater now for a big presentation from whoever the publisher happens to be. It's just the show floor, which is kind of again exactly what Nintendo's been doing for almost 10 years now. It's crazy that they're kind of the trendsetter when it comes to internet.
It's
stuff.
always. And gaming as well, like motion controllers. Did Xbox and Sony think of that? Nah.
Apparently, and I don't know how much I believe it, but apparently there was reporting that Sony actually had that PlayStation Move idea going for a long, long time before. Not to mention they did have iToy before all that, which was motion gaming. But anyway.
I call shenanigans on that.
They did have iToy well before all of it, so I guess that's the one thing that they can claim. But anyway, that aside, yeah, I mean, I'm with both you and Matt Houston as well. It's like, but for different reasons, in terms of covering it, but even just getting to enjoy all these different showcases and stuff. Like, it's a pain in the ass when they're spread out the way that they have been over the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, it's like over a 2-week period.
Another week here, and then we get two, like Capcom and Square Enix, that are running at the exact same time. But when you're working with the ESA on E3, or even specifically kind of tightly working with Jeff Keighley on stuff, they're going to make sure that everyone has a time slot. Like, there's always going to be a gap. You're not going to have one butting into the other, which means you don't get weird shit like Final Fantasy VII and all the stuff that was announced around that happening at the exact same time as a stream where Dragon's Dogma 2 was being announced, despite the fact that there would be a ton of crossover between fans of both franchises. You had to pick and choose. And based on all the analytics stuff, Dragon's Dogma got torched. Like, it got completely screwed because unsurprisingly, Final Fantasy VII dominated. But that doesn't happen if you
second best Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Behind 9. No, just in case anyone is new to the show and thought
he's asking, what's the best one? It is 9.
It's 9. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy like that it's coming back through that lens, and I hope that it I kind of hope for this hybrid model where it is like we'll have the digital streams and you can still have your state of play or your Xbox thing or whatever, and maybe they can, like Xbox can do more of what they did this year with the fan fest at the same time, so you can have pockets of fans getting together. And I mean, again, like speaking about the Melbourne experience this year, we had Larry Herb or Major Nelson come down from the US to kind of be there and really not do a hell of a lot, but kind of engage with the audience and crack a few jokes and try and shed some little nuggets of insight. But it was nice to have that person there, and it allows all those sorts of things to still go on, and then the show floor to be what it always was, maybe a smaller scale version, but what it always was, and that excites me. I'd be really keen on that.
Yeah, I think the one thing that did need to sort of change to some part, because I think that's especially for like reviewers and all that, because I know there was one where Xbox is on this side of town, and then you have to, then it's 5 minutes to the other place, but it's about a 3K walk, and then he's
that E3, the 2006, 7, 8 period when they were, that was a shit show. They'll never do that again.
Yeah, so as long as they just sort of make it more, efficient, I should say, then knock your socks off E3.
Yeah, I kind of hope it's successful, because as much as there's been lots of streams and there's been lots of cool stuff, the way it's been spread out is not enjoyable, especially for us overseas, where the time zones are never great. It's just more and more nights where you're potentially getting up at a stupid time.
Yeah, it's sort of at the middle. It's sort of like the middle of the week. Just like, oh hey, let's stream this on a Wednesday. Like, who does that? Like, I know no one else.
Fine if you're catering to one part of the world. But...
yeah, and then it's like, oh, but And then you've got other twos like, oh, let's just do it at the same time. And then one gets absolutely, like you said, torched.
Completely torched. So yeah, good luck to the ESA and Jeff Keighley too. I hope that they can kind of find a way to get these things. Even if Keighley does still kind of claim it's all part of what I do, if it still means that like they're both parties are talking to each other, and you get the E3 and whatever conferences they've got spread out amongst whatever Keighley has planned with an opening night live, no, not an opening night, E3 kickoff or Games Fest kickoff or whatever the hell he wants to call it, and then any other little streams along the way. Like that's what I would like to see. Like as long as everyone kind of talks to one another, no one's getting in each other's way, and it is back in that E3 model where it's just 1 week. Or I guess it's more like 4 or 5 days, but all contained to one space of time, which is just a crazy week. Then just even for us over here, you can burn yourself out on 1 week, where it's always around the Queen's birthday as well. So there's a public holiday in there. We've got that in our back pockets as well, and then you can go about your business again and process it all and whatnot. But when it's every week there's something going on, it's a lot. I'm waiting. Like, there's going to be a stream of some sort this week. I have no doubt about it. Like, I don't know what it'll be, but there'll be a stream announced. Like, they'll announce something. Hell, Ubisoft announced something for September. They've got a Ubisoft Forward coming in September.
Just do it, yeah. Oh, hey, by the way, let's make an announcement for an announcement.
I mean, I'm okay with that. It's kind of them locking in the date nice and early. It probably means that you don't get a Capcom and Square Enix style situation, but...
I will laugh if they say, "Oh, it's been delayed." I thought, "Oh."
Well, I mean, that's where the common thing around that is. I think everyone believes that's where Assassin's Creed Infinity is going to be announced.
Oh,
which is the kind of shared world Destiny style one.
And then it could be released for Halloween. That's what they used to do back in the day.
Definitely won't be out this year, let alone Halloween. But yeah. Actually, look, let's just quickly touch on it because this kind of segues into another topic that two topics we're kind of combining. Speaking of Ubisoft, they did announce that Skull and Bones is coming out on November 8th. Like, do you remember Skull and Bones?
I was going to say, that's not a pirate one, is it?
It's the pirate one that's basically built on the DNA of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which came out in 2013. And they've been developing it basically for that long. Like since Black Flag came out, it's basically been in development. And it was a business, fairly hefty business deal with. It's developed in Singapore, Ubisoft Singapore, and Ubisoft Singapore got a big cut from the Singaporean government, but it also meant the game had to come out. So it's been like reworked and built from scratch multiple times, which is rarely ever a good sign, but now it's coming out November 8th. And where that segues into our next topic is the fact that they are sending that shit out to die because it comes out the day before God of War Ragnarok, as we just learned this week.
Oh, wow. Yeah, what time it is a battle born once again.
Rest, my gentle prince. Like, it comes out and then that's it. Blown out of the water.
Neck minute, God.
Yeah.
Oh, well. 9 years well spent, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, would they have known? Maybe then. Like, they announced it like 24 hours before God of War was. Or did they? I can't remember the order that these things happened.
Or maybe that's what the Santa Monica Studios was waiting for. Just waited for them to put their release date on and going, right, let's do that next day. Go.
Yeah, let's just kill Ubisoft. I don't know. What do you make of the fact? So now onto the kind of the God of War side. What do you make of the fact that it's coming out November 9 and not November 11th? Which was firstly November 9th is a Wednesday, which is a weird day of the week for a game to come out. But they could, like, PlayStation is putting their games out on Fridays. November 11th would have been a Friday. November 11th would have been the old Starfield date. Why not just sink the boot in and launch it on the Friday? Like, just kick Microsoft.
Yeah, why not?
If you're Sony,
hey Bethesda, take this.
Kick him in the dick a little bit and go, you don't have an exclusive, but where your exclusive once was that you weren't able to put out this year, we're going to drop our biggest game. Like, here, take this.
And could possibly win Game of the Year.
Could be, yeah. I mean, it's got to go against Elden Ring, but
yeah, it's a tough gig this year.
Pretty tough gig this year. I hope it doesn't. It'll probably it's better.
It would absolutely outrage all those fan game Elden Ring people going, oh, it's shit, oh, God of War can suck my dick. Unlike God of War fans that are sending pictures of their dick, but that's a completely different. That's a completely different.
Can you imagine what God of War Ragnarok has to be considered a better game than Elden Ring, given how universally praised Elden Ring is? Like, what's Elden Ring's Metacritic at the moment?
I'm gonna say 97. It's high. I know it's high.
I know it's 98 at one point, but I reckon it slid.
It's like Ocarina of Time.
I'm on Metacritic, so I'm waiting for an ad to inevitably pop up. I should
wait for it
beforehand. Mute.
Definitely nice. I mean,
it's on 96. Yeah, 94 on PC, 96 on both PS5 and Xbox Series X. God of War 2018.
Yes, it's a 95.
He's on 94.
94.
So it's the 2018 one.
So it needs what? A 97.
It needs a 97. Yeah, if we want to look purely statistically, then yeah, it needs a 97. But like even if it kind of breaks it, even if it's somewhere in the ballpark, then like that's obviously incredible. It means it's going to be a game of the year game in the eyes of a lot of people. But yeah, it'll have to be something pretty special to kind of top the Elden Ring review scores. That's not to say they can't do it, because 2018 was pretty incredible, and this is meant to wrap up this whole Norse thing. It's not a trilogy this time. It's 2 games.
They're doing the old Gabe Newell technique.
Yeah, but at least in the case of God of War, they're going to wrap it up. It's just
they are.
We just can't manage to put out the 3rd game.
Or maybe they will just go. This is the second one. This is the second and the last one. Shut your face, and then all of a sudden, there's a 3rd one.
We'll entertain a bit of speculation. You've played 2018, right?
Not yet. It is the next game on the list after Valhalla.
We can't really do that too much then. So, speaking of games getting dates, Forspoken got a new one. It's was meant to come out, and they've kind of spoken about it in a tweet. Yeah, it was meant to come out in October. I think it was October 11th, 10th, 11th.
October? Is that a Friday?
I don't know.
Not the Starfield release day. That's for sure.
I can't remember. It was early October anyway. And they announced via Twitter that they have moved their release to January 24th next year. And that I don't know about you. Did you actually read the message they put out?
No, I did not.
See, I mean, while you're clicking around, I guess maybe an easy way for you to get it, because I haven't been super active on Twitter this week, would be to even go to my Twitter feed, and you'll just find kind of me quote tweeting it out. But
okay, because I also was your what's coming out in October, and then you updated it and crossed out Forspoken.
Well, that was me kind of quoting the Benji Sales, who's a fantastic kind of analyst who literally the night before said, "Hey, here's all the Square Enix games," and then I quote tweeted him and said he ruined it all. But the thing that I guess I really appreciate, and you'll probably learn it as you check out their message, it wasn't some airy-fairy bullshit in the messaging. Like they said, for strategic reasons, which I really appreciate. They're just straight up saying, and the way I kind of read it is, firstly, it's Square Enix, and they've got 5,000, as we just mentioned, the Benji Sales tweet. He highlighted all the Square Enix games coming out at the back end of the year, and they've got tons of them. Now, Forspoken was probably their biggest, or maybe their second biggest, behind Crisis Core.
There we go.
But it was also wedged, because it was early October, it was literally a month after The Last of Us remake and a month before God of War Ragnarok. And it was a big PS5 exclusive. So I feel like they were in between a bit of a rock and a hard place, and as much as it might end up being an incredible game, I'm hopeful it is, but maybe they think really highly of it, maybe they don't. But like, your sales are going to get smashed when you've got these 2 other, sure, not developed by you, but they're PS5 exclusives. So if people want them, people want exclusives. They've got 3 to choose from. Maybe they can only afford 2. There's big ass collector's editions for both Last of Us and God of War. If people are going down that path, we'll touch on the collector's edition situation in a second.
And Paul is collecting
3.
Both of them. 3 of them.
No, who said I was getting 3? Was it?
Like
I think it was
Buddy
Max.
or
I think it was Max.
Everyone's just going. Anything with the collector's edition, just everyone just thinks of Paul. Just that group of people just think Paul. They're just there thinking, ringing up each other, going, "Hey, how many do you reckon Paul will get? Like, will he get this collector's edition? Yes or no?"
Look, well, fuck it. We'll wade into it now. love that I take up so much real estate in your brains, Dylan Blight, Buddy Watson, Ashley Hobley, that mid Fall Guys stream, you guys,
Yeah, Fall Guys. They have all games to talk about.
They were busy playing Fall Guys.
Or Fall Guys. I don't know what I said. Fall games. Fall Guys. Yes.
And they decided they want to start talking about how many different collector's editions I'm going to pre-order. I love that I occupy that sort of mindshare. But
That's the first thing they think of, like collector's editions.
To be fair, I never saw it. They just kind of clipped out the thing, so I don't know. It could have been like the arse end of the stream for all I know. But yeah, it was pretty entertaining. And Ashley Hobley, I appreciate you being the one person who 100% was in my corner saying, no, he'll just get one. He'll just get the most expensive one. Because yes, that's the plan. But if they keep pushing this message around that I'm going to get multiple, they might will it into existence. So we need Friday in the pre-orders to open up to come along already, so I can
maybe just see if you can get Corey. Just message Corey. Go, hey Corey, I'll give you a deal. Either give me 2 collector's editions or come on Dev Diary.
Yeah. And then he'll make me buy 2 collector's editions and
then he'll say,
come on Dev Diary.
And then he'll message back. And go, what collector's editions do you want?
Yeah.
But insane with the whole Forspoken thing. It's like I said, strategic. Like you said, Last of Us, God of War. They're 2 very popular franchises. Where Forspoken is a new franchise, so you really look at it and go, what? If you're a PlayStation fan, what are you going to go with? And you would probably say, if you're an idiot, you go
with the things you know.
Well, if you're an idiot that doesn't have a very good memory, you probably go The Last of Us remake, because you just needed the game for a third time on a different console. Or
can you get? I'm sure remastered is available via. I'm pretty sure it's part of the PlayStation Plus collection.
Or because you're such a big God of War fan, of course you're going to go the God of War game, because the last one was, well, apparently it was good, being that it was a 94 God Game of the Year. So of course people are going to go. Dead 2. Yeah, that was a tough year for Game of the Year. There was a lot of good games that year.
Yeah.
But Boy Simulator 2018 won it all.
Yeah, Spider-Man was out that year as well, and
Spider-Man, Monster Hunter. What was Monster Hunter?
Yeah, Monster Hunter was at the beginning of that year.
Yeah, see, it was a tough
year for games.
It was. And then, but the other,
Forspoken's just wedged in a bad spot.
Yeah,
so
but apart from that, there was also Overwatch 2 coming out, Gotham Knights, which someone has purchased a collector's edition for that one. We will carry on with that.
$500.
Are you right there?
Yeah, sorry, I just choked on the $500 price tag that I'm.
Modern Warfare. Yeah.
Thankfully, I won't have to pay for that, but that's a whole other conversation. And no, it's not me being paid off by Warner Brothers.
And of course, Modern Warfare 2. So there's a few games, big games, and plus there was a whole
Mario plus
list.
Rabbids.
Yeah,
Marvel's
Mario plus
Midnight
Rabbids.
Suns.
I think a Plague Tales
comes out then.
Yeah. So
even on the Square Enix side, like Star Ocean: The Divine Force comes out that month. Valkyrie Elysium comes out a couple of weeks beforehand. Direfield Chronicle comes out a couple of weeks beforehand. Like they were stacked with so many of their own games in that period that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, so I reckon it's a smart move in my opinion, because you can let it breathe.
And we all think that... Sorry, go on.
No, that's it. I was just saying something. I was just saying pretty much nothing. Carry on. You say.
I mean, we all are of the mind, and it may not work out that way, because we said the same thing about 2022. 2022 is going to be the year with all the games, and it's going to be crazy, and then it kind of fizzled for the bulk of the first half of the year. But I think 2023
Horizon.
There was
Horizon came out. That was it. It was done.
And then it's
Horizon, Elden Ring. That was it.
It's been pretty quiet for the most part around that, and that's not necessarily bad. I'm sure I'm being horribly disrespectful to some games that I'm not thinking of. I'm scrolling through a list. Big hitters like Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga.
Oh, yeah, Tiny Tina. There's another one.
Tiny Tina, Ghostwire Tokyo, Gran Turismo 7.
Gran Turismo 7.
Rainbow Six Extraction. But yeah, like it's it's been a pretty quiet year. And the prevailing theory is that won't be the case for 2023. Like 2023 is going to be.
Then in 2023, we'll say 2024 is going to be a big year. But there's also the Suicide Squad to come out. Was that next year?
It's supposed to be next year.
Supposed to be Wolverine, Spider-Man 2.
Breath of the Wild is meant to be out next year. Spider-Man 2 is next year. Starfield is next year.
Sorry, could you just scratch off? Can you just scratch off Breath of the Wild there?
I know.
You said 2022 is going to be a good year, right? So don't throw that rubbish out there.
Who knows? It may not have weapon degradation and all the things we hated about Breath of the Wild. But anyway,
that's the case. Then I'm driving into EB with my car and just go, hey. Drive up to the counter and go, yo, give me that Breath of the Wild 2 game.
Yeah, I'll be there day one. Well, I'll probably be there day one anyway because I'm an idiot. But I can't pass up a Zelda game, even if it's not a good Zelda game. But January's probably not a bad spot. Like, if you can get it out early in the year. Oh, and also, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is meant to be out back end of next year too. And Final Fantasy 16. So, again, more of their own stuff that's there. Like, get it out early, give it time to breathe. You nailed it on the head there, I reckon.
Also being a new franchise, you kind of need that separation from the big games or remake big games.
Even if it's a really, really good game, it might just get lost because of the amount of stuff that's coming out around it. So if you can give it some time where maybe it's the only big name game at the time, then you're more likely to get someone who's just curious to go, I'll give this thing a go, and they'll buy it. Whereas if they've got God of War and Last of Us and
they'll just get The Last of Us and go, I'm done with that. It's God of War time.
Yeah, or an average player, even for something like The Last of Us, which is a 12-ish hour long game, that might still take them a couple of weeks if they're kind of your average sort of consumer, where they might only spend a few hours gaming a week, and all of a sudden Forspoken's come and gone.
Or a phony gamer if it's just 12 hours over a month. That you're not a gamer. That's not gaming.
Yeah. But I don't know. It depends. You might have other responsibilities, work, parents, being a parent, etc. Whatever those things might happen to be. So yeah, that's kind of Forspoken. That's God of War. That's GTA. That's E3. Those are the topics we were hitting on for this episode. And do you have any other thoughts about those or any other smaller little bite-sized things that popped up over the course of the week?
I think that the only three things I could think of, because I think the main thing was just the whole idiotic God of War fiasco of this. I will call them dickhead fans or fanboys. I would call you just leave the developers alone. It's not their fault. Don't just start sending silly pictures of.
Your little chode
you're already making the human race look bad enough as it is, and then you go do that rubbish.
Yeah. I
really wish there was a way where, if they ordered a collector's edition, they had to link their Twitter account to their order, and if they sent a picture, then all they get is a pile of dirt. And their picture that they sent to them back to them framed.
Yeah, works.
And to say, well, this is for being a dick.
And maybe the other thing we'll just wrap up on before we completely close the show is for me personally, I won't speak for yourself, but I'm sure you probably agree. Good luck to anyone at Game Informer who lost their job last week thanks to GameStop in the US. So I guess the EB Games is overlord, making they cut 150 executive roles, writing roles at Game Informer, all sorts of roles around GameStop and all those sort of things, which may or may not affect Australia. I guess they've got a bit more of a monopoly out here, so maybe EB Games locally is still a little bit protected, but that company is continuing to slide. And a lot of Game Informer people lost jobs over the course of last week, and they were putting out some really good coverage. Their cover stories are fantastic. They give us lots of insight into really cool games, most recently like Callisto Protocol, for example. So I guess a good luck to all those people as well. Any other thoughts at all?
No, I think that's it.
Sweet, let's take it home. If you enjoyed that episode of Patched, then please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All the buttons down below. Hit the notification bell. That way you're alerted to every new video the moment it goes live on the channel. That includes Patched, Play 2 Plays, Gamer School, and a whole bunch more. Awesome stuff there, so please subscribe and go and check it out. We've got this Thursday, our 1000th episode of Player 2 Plays will be going up, so stay tuned for that one. It's going to be big.
It's a
And if
big
it's
game.
not because I couldn't get my shit together, then I don't know, I'll just like pretend that some episode down the line is episode 1000 and celebrate it regardless, in the way that you will be interested to see. And also on the Play 2's Play side, go check out Matto's recent work, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. There's a Play 2 plays there of you getting your ass kicked by a crab and finishing the final boss from the main game, or beating the final boss in the main game, Nawa.
Did I? I thought that was the. Oh, is it? Was that the final one?
That was part of the end game from Rise.
Oh, whoops! It's taken me a year to figure that out.
Yeah, no, that was the end of Rise. But then, yeah, jumping into Sunbreak and taking on a crab and getting lost too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember where all the things were, but
there's a little underground bit there. That, it took me ages. There's a little passage that takes you under, and then there's this. Yeah, it's an interesting little map design, that one. But anyway, visit the website player2.net.au for reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, links to the podcast series, Patch, the Player 2 Pixelcast, and Dev Diary. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au. Kick a few bucks, lower tiers early access, high tiers monthly episode exclusives, and finally Twitter. Matto.
Matto_Phil.
Paul James Games for me. The website's player2au, and until next week, don't send dick pics to anyone. It doesn't.
Don't send dick pics or abusive messages.
Messages. Leave people alone. Let people make video games. Yeah. See ya.